The representative of the Russian Federation has asked for the floor to make further statement, and I give him the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. We didn't intend to go into technical details because our American colleagues and their partners touched on specific issues, and therefore I'm compelled to take the floor once again. I'll be quick. Because the 9M729 missile was mentioned, I'd like to explain that over many years of discussions with us, the United States has steadfastly refused to communicate not only about the tests that have been carried out, which, as we understand, gave rise to questions, but also about any information that would identify this device. We had absolutely no information on what Washington was actually concerned about. Last year, however, after it became clear that Washington was worried about, we proposed to the Americans that we could have a closed meeting where we could look at the missiles with this index, and thereby there could be exhaustive information about that missile, in order to convince them that this missile didn't contravene the treaty. But once again, there was a refusal to this as well. Then we made another attempt. As part of an unprecedented measure of transparency which goes much beyond the demands of the treaty, we openly demonstrated this missile in the presence of international delegations. However, representatives of the United States didn't come to that event and recommended that its partners in NATO also didn't come, which they didn't follow. Therefore, we don't really understand the arguments from our American colleagues. But we wanted to provide the information to save the treaty. In trying to destroy the treaty, you're going away from this information. Just to give a few words on the new armament systems, Russian armament systems that were mentioned. My American colleague cannot not know that they all have a characteristic. They are aimed to overcome the missile system. And because of the US exit of the anti-ballistic missile treaty, which I mentioned in my statement, and the deployment of similar systems on our borders, we were compelled to begin to develop this kind of device. This is another issue which has artificially been created by Washington, and which, as I've already said, we have tried to prevent for a long time without success. The participants in this situation, I'd like to stress so that nobody has any illusions, were the NATO countries. Madam President, in conclusion, I'd like to say that today's meeting, unfortunately, has been predictable to the point of boredom. The United States and the countries that are subject to it, despite the facts and common sense, have got everything the wrong way round, including Russia of all of these cardinal sins. There's nothing new or surprising in this. Our Western colleagues have created a parallel reality where no evidence is necessary, and it's enough just to make any accusation under the bracket that it's highly likely. This is considered normal now. But the issue is that we are living in a real world, not a virtual one. And until there are experts that cast doubt on these Western fables, our world has a chance. We want to believe that the initiative that we have with China to increase the number of people who are not scared to call a spade won't require action and practical steps. Because there are those who, with their ambitions, are destroying a treaty that's important for the whole world and are deviating from the norms of international law. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.